Have you ever been watching a documentary and thought, how can people just vanish without a trace? It's a haunting thought, and the reality is often far scarier than fiction. Stay with us until the end as we dive into 5 of the most baffling cases of people who vanished without a trace, starting with Lars Mittank. On July 8, 2014, 28-year-old Lars Mittank arrived at Varna Airport in Bulgaria, ready to fly home to Germany. But something went wrong. He was last seen sprinting from the airport, scaling a fence, and disappearing into the nearby woods. Since that day, Lars has never been seen again. Lars was born on February 9, 1986, in Berlin, Germany, and grew up in the quiet town of Itzehoe. He was a normal young man with a steady job at a power plant, a long-term girlfriend, and close-knit group of friends. But everything would change during a seemingly innocent vacation to the Bulgarian coast. In late June 2014, Lars and 5 of his friends embarked on a week-long vacation to the Golden Sands Resort near Varna, Bulgaria. It was a popular destination for young people, a place to relax, party, and watch the World Cup. Just before their vacation ended, Lars got into an argument with some other German tourists, Bayern Munich fans. Lars, a passionate Werder Bremen supporter, traded insults with them. What began as playful banter escalated, and the next day, Lars reappeared bruised and claiming he had been attacked by 4 men hired by the group he argued with. Lars suffered a ruptured eardrum, and a doctor told him not to fly. His friends wanted to stay with him, but Lars insisted they go home. He checked out of the resort the same time as his friends, and checked into the Hotel Color Varna for 1 night. It was then that Lars's behavior became increasingly erratic. Lars called his mother, whispering that people were following him, that he was in danger. His paranoia grew by the hour. He told her that people were trying to kill or rob him. He even asked her to cancel his credit cards. The closed-circuit television cameras in the hotel recorded him pacing up and down the halls, looking out windows, and hiding in an elevator. At 1 a.m., he left the hotel before returning about an hour later. It is not known what he did in the intervening period. On the day he vanished, Lars went to the airport to see if he was fit to fly. But when a construction worker walked into the doctor's office, Lars panicked, shouting, "I don't want to die here." He was later seen on airport security footage running out of the airport and towards an adjacent forest. Since then, Lars has never been found. Was he running from real danger, or from something in his mind? Some believe Lars was suffering from psychosis, possibly triggered by the antibiotic he was prescribed. Others suspect foul play, linking his disappearance to the men he fought in the bar. But the truth remains elusive. What could have driven Lars to flee into the unknown? Just when you think it can't get any darker, we shift to the unsettling case of Koecher. October 2nd, 2018. A young, expectant mother vanishes into thin air. Koecher was 26 years old, 3 months pregnant and full of excitement about the life she was creating. But in a matter of hours, her world, and the world of those who loved her, was turned upside down. Over 5 years later, the question remains, what happened to Koecher? Koecher lived a life filled with promise. A letter carrier for the U.S. Postal Service, she had worked tirelessly to secure a future for herself and her unborn child. Her friends and family describe her as a dedicated, hard-working woman who had recently moved into her own apartment and was eagerly preparing for motherhood. Koecher had taken time off work on October 1st and 2nd, 2018 for personal reasons. On October 3rd, she reportedly called in sick and requested additional leave. The last confirmed sighting of Koecher was on the night of October 2nd. Surveillance footage captured her carrying groceries into her apartment. Just hours later, things took a mysterious turn. Later that evening, Kesse was again caught on camera, this time leaving her building and getting into a car with a man identified as a person of interest. They drove to a nearby Walgreens, where Kesse withdrew several $100s from an ATM around 11 p.m. Less than an hour later, the car returned, but only one person was seen getting out from the passenger side. No one exited the driver's side. After that, Kesse vanished. Concerned after not hearing from Kesse, her family filed a missing persons report 2 days later. Police entered her apartment and found no signs of struggle, but Kesse was gone. Her car, still parked outside, contained her purse, cell phone, and prenatal vitamins. Police soon shifted their investigation from a routine missing person to a high-risk case, suspecting foul play. Kesse's boyfriend, with whom she had a complicated relationship, became a person of interest in the case. He had another girlfriend who was also pregnant at the time. However, he denied any involvement in Kesse's disappearance, despite providing inconsistent accounts of the last time he saw her. The investigation hit a standstill. Kesse's boyfriend moved out of state shortly after her disappearance, leaving no trace behind. The family was left with more questions than answers. Kesse's mom believes there was foul play and that her daughter was met with violence that night, but without evidence, the case remains unsolved. Since Kesse Coles disappeared, speculation has swirled around what could have happened to her, with many theories emerging. The most common theory, both online and among those close to her, points to her boyfriend. He had a reputation for secrecy, and it came to light that he had another girlfriend. After Kesse vanished, his actions only raised more suspicion. He moved out of state almost immediately, avoided searches and vigils, and most suspiciously, refused to speak publicly about her disappearance. But that's not the only possibility. Early in the investigation, some wondered if Kesse might have left voluntarily. With a baby on the way, a new relationship, and the pressures of work, could it all have become too much? Perhaps she chose to walk away and start fresh somewhere far from it all. There's also the troubling reality of the neighborhood. Kesse's apartment was in an area known for gang violence, crime, and poverty. Some feared she might have been caught up in something terrible, perhaps targeted or abducted by someone involved in local crime. Yet, Kesse's case is not alone in its mystery. It recalls the earlier disappearance of Stephen Koecher, who went missing years before in 2009 under similarly perplexing circumstances. At midday on December 13, 2009, Stephen Koecher parked his Chevrolet Cavalier at the end of a cul-de-sac in Henderson, Nevada. A simple act, yet it would become the last recorded image of him before he vanished without a trace. Born on November 1, 1979, in Amarillo, Texas, Stephen was the youngest of 4 children. Active in the Boy Scouts, he achieved the rank of Eagle Scout and was a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. By late 2009, Stephen found himself in a tough spot. Financial pressures mounted. He was 3 months behind on rent and struggling to make ends meet. Yet, in the days leading up to his disappearance, Stephen's family recalls his upbeat demeanor and hopeful spirit about finding new employment. From December 10th to 12th, Stephen drove nearly 1,100 miles across Utah and Nevada. On December 10th, he visited former acquaintances, saying he was on his way to Sacramento, California. He seemed upbeat during a phone call with his mother, discussing his plans for Christmas. On December 12th, while out distributing flyers for his part-time job, he helped 2 girls who were locked out of their home. That same day, he bought Christmas gifts for his family. The following day, at 11:54 a.m., Stephen's car was captured on a home security camera driving into the cul-de-sac in the Anthem neighborhood, Henderson. Just 6 minutes later, a figure believed to be Stephen was seen walking away, carrying something in his hand. He has not been seen since. Days after Stephen went missing, his car was discovered abandoned at the end of the cul-de-sac. Inside, authorities found gifts for his family, frozen food, and personal items, a stark contrast to the uncertainty of his disappearance. It seemed he intended to return. Stephen's phone records revealed movement in the Las Vegas area, with pings showing activity through the evening of December 13th. But by the following day, his phone went silent. Initially, Stephen's absence went unnoticed. It wasn't until the Homeowners Association contacted his employer and parents about the abandoned car that alarm bells began to ring. Koecher was reported missing, but the police had few leads. Despite extensive searches in the areas surrounding Henderson, there was no trace of him. Despite the odd circumstances of his disappearance, investigators found no evidence of foul play. Stephen's family believed he was searching for work, struggling to keep up with his rent. The media began to pick up on the story. His case became known, leading to tips and theories that emerged from the community, but none yielded concrete answers. In a twist of fate, Stephen's disappearance came just days after that of Susan Powell, another case that captivated the nation. Speculation arose connecting the two, but both families dismissed the theories. But just as the search for Stephen stalled, we turn our attention to another baffling mystery: the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse, which would leave an indelible mark on those left behind. Jennifer Kesse, an ambitious and vibrant 24-year-old from Orlando, Florida, has been missing since January 23, 2006. A graduate of the University of Central Florida, she was well on her way to a successful career as a finance manager. Little did anyone know, that day would mark the beginning of an agonizing mystery. Jennifer was known for her infectious smile and a strong sense of personal safety. On January 22nd, she returned from a romantic getaway with her boyfriend, Rob Allen, in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. After spending the night at Rob's home, Jennifer drove directly to work on the morning of January 23rd. At approximately 6 p.m., Jennifer left her office. She made a quick phone call to her father, the last time her family would hear her voice. By 10 p.m., she was on the phone with Rob saying goodnight. Nothing seemed amiss. But when she failed to show up for work the next day, alarm bells began to ring. By 11 a.m., her employer contacted her parents, Drew and Joyce Kesse, who rushed to her condo in Orlando. Upon arrival, they found her apartment untouched. Damp towels and clothes indicated she had prepared for her day. But her car was missing. They called the police, but initial responses were tepid, suggesting Jennifer may have left voluntarily. The investigation took a pivotal turn on January 26th, when Jennifer's car was discovered parked at the Huntington on the Green apartment complex, only 1.2 miles from her home. Security footage revealed a mysterious figure parking the vehicle just hours after her disappearance. This footage, however, was grainy and poorly lit, rendering the individual unidentifiable. Standing between 5 feet 3 inches and 5 feet 5 inches, the person could have been anyone. The FBI even analyzed the footage, but could only confirm the height. In the days that followed, search crews comprised of over 1,400 volunteers scoured the area for any sign of Jennifer. Despite their efforts, no leads materialized. Friends and family distributed flyers, desperate for information. Jennifer's condo was located in a rapidly changing neighborhood, with ongoing construction that had become a source of discomfort for her. She had often complained about the construction workers who harassed her with catcalls. As detectives began questioning potential witnesses, they found many of the construction workers were undocumented and scattered when they learned about the investigation. As weeks turned into months, frustration grew. The Orlando Police Department initially showed little interest in treating Jennifer's case with the urgency it deserved. Her family was left feeling abandoned, desperate for answers. In May 2007, A $1 million reward was offered for information leading to her whereabouts. Yet, no claims were made. In an innovative move, her parents placed her image on a deck of playing cards distributed in jails across the state, hoping to reach someone who might have information. One inmate, David Byron Russ, contacted her father, but the leads led nowhere. Just when it seems like you've grasped the complexities of one case, we find ourselves questioning the safety of everyday life as we explore the disappearance of Brian Shaffer, who vanished from a bustling bar without a trace in April 2006. In the early hours of April 1st, 2006, a promising medical student at Ohio State University, Brian Randall Shaffer, vanished without a trace. A night out with friends would turn into one of the most baffling missing person cases in Ohio history. Born on February 25, 1979, Brian was known for his ambition and kindness. He was a dedicated student at the Ohio State College of Medicine and had dreams of starting a band. Tragically, just weeks before his disappearance, Brian lost his mother to myelodysplasia. Though he appeared to cope well, the loss weighed heavily on him. At around 1:15 a.m., Brian and his friends returned to the Ugly Tuna. Just before 2 a.m., security cameras captured Brian outside the bar, speaking with two young women. This would be the last sighting of him on camera. On the night of March 31, 2006, Brian went out to celebrate the start of spring break with friends. They began their evening at a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Throughout the night, Brian and his friend, William Clint Florence, hopped from one bar to another, drinking and socializing. When the bar closed at 2 a.m., Clint and another friend, Meredith Reed, searched for Brian, but he was nowhere to be found. They assumed he returned to his apartment. However, the next day, multiple calls went unanswered, and concern began to grow. On Monday morning, when Brian missed a scheduled flight to Miami with his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner, his loved ones reported him missing to the Columbus police. The investigation began immediately at the Ugly Tuna. Security footage showed Brian entering the bar with his friends and later stepping outside to chat with the two women. However, in a puzzling twist, there was no footage of him leaving the bar when it closed. Columbus has extensive surveillance coverage, yet no cameras captured Brian exiting. The only possible way out was through a service exit, which led to a construction site. Officers noted that navigating this exit would have been challenging, especially for someone who may have been intoxicated. Despite extensive searches around the bar, nearby dumpsters, and even the sewer system, no sign of Brian was found. Flyers with his image circulated widely, detailing his distinctive tattoo and the fleck in his left eye. As the days turned into weeks, speculation grew. Some believed Brian may have gone away to grieve in solitude following his mother's death, while others entertained darker theories of foul play. The police explored numerous tips, including the possibility of connections to the so-called smiley-face serial killer, but nothing panned out. Yet, as time passed, the hope of finding Brian dimmed. Theories abounded. Some suggested he had been killed and hidden away, while others speculated he could be living under a new identity. Columbus police occasionally review the case, but there are no new updates or leads. If you found these unsolved disappearances as intriguing as we do, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us bring more captivating stories to light. If you're interested in more unsolved true crime cases, make sure to watch our recent video about 5 murder cases still unsolved in 2024. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Join our community by sharing your thoughts in the comments. What do you think happened in these cases? Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe and stay curious.